Hey, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to the Hanging On to Hope podcast.
I'm Brenda J.
And I'm Karen Wonder.
And we are HangingOnToHope.org.
This podcast is intended as educational and is not psychological or medical advice. Always consult a professional when needed, and we disclaim any liability in connection with the instruction, information, or advice given.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Hanging On to Hope podcast. This is Brenda J. Today, we'd like to welcome Nicolee Thompson to the show. One of our board members, Mandy, introduced us to her. Nicolee is the CEO, Executive Director of Harvest Compassion Centers. Their mission is to provide food and clothing in a hope-filled environment to the underserved in the greater Phoenix area. They do this through food and clothing banks. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. So happy to be here.
Yes, this is Karen. It's so nice to meet you. So can you tell us a little of your story, the Mitchell Swaback story, and how it led you to CEO of Harvest Compassion Centers?
Yes, absolutely. So Mitchell Swaback Charities Incorporated is our 501c3 public charity, and I call that the parent organization that fully funds and operates our 3 Harvest Compassion Center locations. Mitch is my brother, and he actually passed away 20 years ago this year in an accident. So he was 23 years old. And he actually drowned in a rafting accident with some guys on an overnight camping trip. So that was obviously a huge moment in our lives and just a point where we paused and stopped and the whole world stopped for us, right? Mm-hmm. My only sibling. So I actually got married in June that year. It was 2004. And then 2 months later, my brother passed away and entered heaven. So we kind of, as a new family, my new husband and my parents really had to figure out how to move forward and how to move through that. And one thing that we learned at my brother's funeral was that this kid made a huge impact for the 23 short years he was here on earth. And we stood in line and we stood at the front of a church for like 12 plus hours because the line never went away. People kept coming to pay their respects. And I'm just like, who are all these people? Like, we didn't know them. I didn't know them. And it just taught us so much within that couple days of the impact that one person can truly have and his heart to just give and serve. He'd meet you guys on the street. You'd be like, hey, we're jumping in this van and we're going to go help these ladies and these families or these kids. He'd be like, sure, I'm in. And I'd be like, you're crazy. Do not do that. You know, like the older protective sister was like, that's not what you do. That's unsafe. And he's like, what can go wrong? We're helping people. So honestly, we just started taking my brother's attitude and his way of living and adopted it and just said, we're going to just start saying yes and helping people wherever needed. So that is really how Mitchell Swaback Charities came to be. We did a lot of building projects in Chicago, where we are from, where my brother had lived his whole life. So rehabbing children's shelters and soup kitchens and outreach ministries with construction needs. So my brother was in construction. We are a construction kind of history of a family there. My dad, my grandpa, his grandpa. So we know how to build. So we'd go in with other building partners and rehab these shelters or soup kitchens. Fast forward to the recession, and we also moved to Phoenix, and we really wanted to help folks in the valley. And how do we do that? Well, the recession showed us how much there was need right here in Phoenix of those basic short-term needs. So food, clothing, hygiene items, baby items, these material items that we saw people on the street, you know, holding up signs, which unfortunately we see a lot of that today as well. Mm-hmm. And that's really how we started the first compassion center. My dad said, I think we should go ahead and open some type of food bank. And my mom said, well, if we do food, we should probably do clothes. Honestly, I was the one dragging my feet. And I was like, we could probably pick one of those and we'll be really good. People will be really happy. We'll be helping a lot of people. And they said, no, we're actually called to do both. And let's go ahead and figure out how to do this right here in Phoenix.
Wow, what a great story. And yeah, so he was 23 when he passed away?
23 years old. Yes, ma'am.
Did you see signs like early on of his compassion and Sounds like he just had such a heart to help.
Yeah, that was his heart. I mean, you met him in 2 seconds. You're like, I want to be your friend. I was the older sister, quiet. I got to hide behind him. It was fabulous for me, right? But he just was like the life of every party. He was the kid that did get in trouble in school because he talked too much and wouldn't shut up. But then his teachers would call my mom and say, well, he's in trouble again because he won't be quiet. But I'll tell you off the record, I love him. He's my favorite student because he makes us all laugh every day. So he never crossed the line to be inappropriate. He was just that like clown anywhere you went and the kid you just want to be friends with. And he had a really good, unique ability to see those who were unseen. So like the ones that were quiet in the corner or like nobody was talking to, right? He would be the one to approach those and include them into whatever was going on.
Wow, what a beautiful spirit.
It was I wasn't expecting that to be such a touching story when I was going over this, but I feel like part of what he left, it passed to you. Like you are a lot like that.
Yeah, your whole family.
So you're saying you're shy and stuff. And I'm like, no, your desire to help people when they walked into that compassion center when I visited you and how gracious you were to me. I'm pretty sure some of that passed to you. So what a blessing.
Yes. I give him credit for all that. He poured something into me and I had now 20 years of practice. So he's like, girl, you're going to come out of your shell. And I'm like, okay, here we go.
That's what he said. Yeah. He's like, okay, you got to do this. But it is so rare for people to want to be helpful like that as well, especially in this world. So what a blessing all of you are.
Yeah.
And your whole family moved to Arizona from Illinois.
Yes, we're one of those transplants that we meet out here. I'm
from Illinois too.
And we're not leaving. We love the desert.
Yeah, I'm from Illinois too. I'm from Southern Illinois, but I moved out here when I was 20. So I've been
what part?
How did I describe it? No one's ever heard of my hometown.
Around Germantown?
Close to the Indiana border. So like Vincennes, if you know where Vincennes, Indiana, we're 15 minutes from Vincennes, Indiana.
Okay,
That's where we'd go on our weekends.
I had roommates from down there. Yes, ma'am.
Really? Yeah. Yeah. It's funny.
I only visited once though.
Really? Well, growing up, me and my sister used to say how it just felt like, gosh, we got to get out of here. And now that she's in close to Indianapolis and I'm in Phoenix. And now I'm like, I really appreciate the small town when we go back and visit. It still feels like home, but I appreciate it so much more, the upbringing we had and just the uniqueness of a small town and being a Midwesterner.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually from Pittsburgh, so I don't fit in here. I'm kidding.
And that means you might be a Steeler fan, so I'm so sorry.
My family is a family of builders too. So that I can relate to 100%.
Yes.
So
blue collar. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. My dad was a bricklayer. So, and yeah, bringing back memories now. So your website says Harvest Compassion Centers is food banking reimagined. In what ways is the concept different and who came up with the vision?
Yeah. So when my parents really said, I think we should be feeding people and clothing them, I had no social service background. I actually was a full-time teacher teaching English to 8th graders and high schoolers and as well as high school speech, having a couple of kids myself, coaching volleyball, so getting to yell at kids in the gym and just a couple of side jobs. So we're a little bit busy and then we want to open a food bank. So I'm someone that it was like, okay, how do we fit this into our life right now? But we wanted to really have an ongoing project that we were doing daily and making like daily impact. Because a lot of our projects we did before were the building projects. So you raise a lot of money, you rehab this women's shelter. It's great, but then it's like over, right? There's a start, a middle, and an end to that. And so we really wanted to have this ongoing impact that we were making. And so I'm very much someone that loves to do my research and get everything figured out before I solve it. So I had my summer break as a teacher. My kids were 2 and 4 and we literally stood in line at food banks in Arizona and soup kitchens and clothing closets and churches and anyone that I could kind of find at that time that I could show up and ask for help. Google wasn't as big 20 years ago as it is now.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit harder to kind of navigate that. So a lot of it was word of mouth and making some phone calls. And it was a really odd summer break for my children. Good thing they were 2 and 4 and don't remember it. So, and then we got fed a lot. It was too hard to say, I don't need the food. I'm doing research. but I really wanted to experience what our families experience. Experience somebody who is hungry, right? Who does need some help with some clothing or assistance. And I wanted to see how I was treated. How was I viewed? How was I stereotyped? Were they kind, friendly? Was it welcoming? Was it a place I never wanted to come back to because it was maybe dirty or a little smelly, or was it not kid friendly? Because I had my kids with me. A lot of our families, half our clients are kids. So we welcome kids. We know that kids have to come with mom and dad or grandparents, right? Yeah. So I just wanted to really experience that. And that summer I had my takeaways. And if we create a food bank, and now, yes, we call it Food Banking Reimagined, it had to have some things I didn't quite experience that summer 15 years ago. So it had to be welcome for all. So that meant no restrictions, no qualifications. Nothing that you looked at me or I filled out a packet of paperwork and now you said, okay, you guys are hungry. Because you really can't do that, right? You can't do that really in the U.S. And so that meant no government interference, no government food or funding would come in our doors. So our doors would always be wide open to anybody who walked up. We don't have to look at you a certain way or judge what you're wearing. We just have to say, hi, welcome, and would you like to shop today? And that's it. That's the one question we ask when you walk in the door. And then it's a yes every single time, which is really different from what I experienced that summer. It also had to be more choice had to be involved. A lot of places I went, they gave me a box of food or they gave me a bag of clothes, So really what that does is that it tells me what to wear. They're telling me what to eat. They're telling me what to feed my kids. So the choice is really not involved in that process. So we wanted to have dignity be a pillar of what we did because we all deserve dignity in our lives and we want to be able to offer that gift to others. So it was about having a center where our families chose everything that they go home with, they choose. And there's not one item that we say, oh, you need this. Because I don't know you. You're a stranger walking in our doors, right? Yeah. So I don't know what you ladies want to have for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I don't know your dietary concerns or all that looks like. So don't assume, right? It was like never assuming because they walked in and asked for food that they even need clothes. Maybe they're okay on clothes, or maybe they don't even need the baby items that they have, even though the baby's here with them. So again, letting it be kind of free choice, which builds in the dignity and the true compassion of we see you as a human. We want to get to know you and we want to build a relationship. And that was the other thing. I didn't see relationships being built. In any of the places that I built, it was more of a, you're in for a second, maybe a God bless on the way out, and then like, have a good day. Well, our families are going through major life hardship, right? Nobody who comes to HCC actually probably wants to walk into HCC doors for the first time. So we really took our stance from because they have to come, we want to make sure they feel welcome, trusted, totally secure, safe, right? All of these things that we really went into our thinking of how do we make our center look and feel. We want kids to run in and go to the kids' play corner and see a fun mural on the wall and go home with a book and toy. So it's just that place that they go and play at. We want to make sure we didn't feel like a food bank or a clothing bank, but really just like an outreach center where you're making new friends, you're hugging at the door, kids are bullying their way in because they want to see what's in the, in the toy basket that day. And then we're just really doing life together. And that's really at the heart of what we do is doing life together. And then the other really important thing was we have to have fun. If you can tell by my personality, like we got to have fun every day. And food banking, a lot of where I went, it was like, it wasn't inspiring. It wasn't like, it wasn't dark and gloomy, but it wasn't like, that was so much fun. I can't wait to go back. Yeah. So I really said, I want to create a place that's so fun that they really want to come back because they have to. So we laugh and we have fun and we have giveaways and we make it something that folks just really, it surprises them. They're like, wow, that wasn't what I was thinking it was going to be. And that's the best compliment I can receive. Yeah. I'm like, awesome, because we did our job.
Yeah, what a great way to surprise people in the opposite direction. Sounds like you learned a lot from observing, what you experienced. And what a great way to start an organization is like, I'm going to put myself in the shoes of someone that's going to be needing this. And I think that's a great way to start something like that.
Yeah, there's such a genuineness there. But I think you walk in and they assign like a personal shopper, someone to help you and stuff. Great. It's super. You feel like VIP.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
I mean, we want a part of that surprise is to elevate the experience, right?
Mhm.
So it's like you and me, we go into a store. If a store does something different to greet you or give you a personal shopper, let me walk you out to your car and load your garage, like these, oh,
Yeah.
wow, like that was really nice. And like, I'm going to come back to this place because of really it's the customer service, right? If you look at it from like a retail standpoint, it's like who's doing a really good job at just serving their customers. So we take it as serving our guests in the best way possible. We see the center as our home. So we're welcoming you into our home and we just want to give you like the best time in our home. And yeah, that means you get a personal shopper. That means we walk you to your car. That means we play with your kids. We babysit while you're in there. We don't charge you anything. Everything's free. And we have selection, right? Having different brands and scents and flavors and dietary needs and different sizes of your clothes. And then taking our boutique and taking it a step further, everything in our boutique has been fully laundered. So other places that give away free clothes, I know for a fact they don't clean anything.
Yeah.
And so we have washers and dryers that run 6 days a week and we're making sure it looks brand new. So if our family has to change in the car, they can put on that clean shirt. If they want to go in our bathroom and change, great. And the dignity of wearing clean clothes, we just dismiss. We have no idea what that's like because we do laundry every day. But that's actually a luxury for a lot of our families. So these little things that become big things that we knew we could do to offer that service to our families.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I used to do a lot of shopping at Goodwill, and the first thing I do is go home and wash it because it all had that same smell. I think they spray something on it, or I don't know, but it's like I know that I wash anything.
But the difference is they treat everybody like gold there, and you don't pay for it. It's not like Goodwill where you're spending quite a bit of money.
Yeah. And I used to work at the Apple store, and that's what they would have us, hi, welcome to the Apple store. So that's great that you have people greeting you. So right now, I think you have 3 food and clothing banks, and the goal of Hanging On to Hope podcast is to provide free resources for healing and education. A lot of our listeners are survivors of domestic violence and homelessness, and also single moms that are working yet still struggling. Is this something they can have access to? And can you tell us more about the programs offered? Is it free of charge?
Yes, absolutely. So we, again, having our doors open with no qualifications, anybody can come in our doors and receive our free shopping trip. We ask that you return once every 30 days. If you want to come back, if you have to come back. So then that's your return rate. And yes, we have many women and families in DV situations or possible child abuse situations, kids that have been removed from homes, group homes, foster care, a lot of different walks of life come into our centers. And the cool thing is we don't know whose story is what, right? Because we're all together. We don't have to ask you about that. We're not going to invade your privacy and make you share with us. Now we want to build a relationship and a friendship. So we're going to ask you how you heard about us, like as we check you in, and you might say you had a referral. Maybe you heard that on the podcast. And the important thing is you don't have to share if you don't want to share. And a lot of families like, oh, my friend told me, great. Or sometimes people are a little bit quiet and they don't really know how to respond because maybe it's the lowest point of their life when they're sitting in front of us getting checked in. And they're just kind of mute and they're having trouble finding words because they're just processing. So we're like, hey, I'm Nicole. Nice to meet you. I can see it's a little bit hard right now. Let's try to get you in and out as fast as we can. And then next time you come on in, maybe we'll take a little more time at the desk and have time for more conversation. We are a faith-based organization, so we offer Bibles and prayer to our families as well. Again, never pushing that on anybody, but giving them the chance to, usually that question of, how can I pray with you today? Before you shop might open up just that moment of letting a little bit of their story and sharing a little bit that one-on-one with our check-in lead. I always say we have tissue at the desk because we all need it. It's like free therapy for a moment. And a moment where families can just take a moment and let something out, in a minute and let it go and just kind of release that. And so we want to make sure we create a space for that as well. But any of our locations, we have 3 of them, like you mentioned. We're in the North Phoenix, Scottsdale area, which is on East Thunderbird Tatum. We're also in the West Phoenix area, which is right by GCU, about 2 blocks from them, which is Camelback and 27th Ave. And then our last location is more West Valley in the Maryville community, which is Indian School and 67th Ave. And they're all open 3 days a week. Sometimes 2 are open on one day, but Monday through Saturday, 9 to 11:30, somebody is open. So we can get somebody help within 24 hours with someone being open the very next day. Sunday is our only day that we are closed. And yes, completely free, a charge. There's no gimmick. There's no catch. We walk you to your car. We walk you to the sidewalk, your bicycle. We won't give you a bill on the way out, I say. People kind of look over their shoulders sometimes and they're like checking. And I'm like, I'm walking away. I told you it's good. And so it's kind of fun to see newbies come in and test us a little bit, or they start walking a little bit faster. I'm like, you don't got to walk to your car faster.
We gotta go.
We're going to give you a hug. That's it, so. And what we really love is just, loving our families through their hardship and their time in need. And then a lot of our families come back maybe once a quarter, and then they come back twice a year. So we see families doing better. Another really important thing we do while we get to build that friendship is we do hear about those other needs. I have housing needs. I have healthcare needs, education needs, therapy, job training. I mean, right? You name it. So we want to know about really good folks, just like you guys, what you guys do, and connect them to the other partner resources in our area. Yeah. And then say, hey, we do what we do, but we know it's not long-term support. Go see our friends at Hanging On to Hope. Go see our friends over here. Go connect with this. And we're giving those numbers and those web addresses and those contacts. And then we get to just ask them about that. We see them better their situations. We see them escape whatever they're trying to flee. We get to celebrate those wins together, which is awesome. And then our ultimate goal is to have you come back as a volunteer and make sure now you don't get to leave us. We're friends. Like, what?
Yeah.
Come back and see us. They're like, no, Nicolee, I'm doing good. It's been a year. I'm like, yeah, I know it's been a year. I can see your check-in date was last December, and I'm glad you're doing great. I'm glad everything's fabulous. But now you come back and you become a volunteer and you actually serve the next family. And a lot of our families have never been challenged with that. They've never been invited to do something like that, to be a volunteer. And I learned that about 8 years ago. And it was so weird because I'd say, now you come back and do it with us. Mm-hmm. And they're just like, but you want me? And I'm like, of course we want you. But they just couldn't process that. And I learned why after asking a lot of questions. No one's ever asked me to be on your side. And I was like, well, there's not a side, and I'm asking you, I'm challenging you, and we want you. And who better to shop with a family than someone who's been here as a guest? So it's really cool to see it come full circle and make that community impact.
Wow. That's great.
I help women and they a lot say they want to help. Now I started encouraging them. I'll compliment them and say, wow, you really have a lot of knowledge, because who better to help than someone that's been through it?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I completely agree with that.
Plus, it helps in your healing, because you feel to give back just adds to the healing process and gives you that joy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a joy we didn't know we needed, right? And
right.
Volunteers come in all the time. They're like, I've never done this before. I'm just trying to volunteer. And, we baby step our volunteers through it too, where they're comfortable. But how many times have I heard, oh my word, I thought I was coming to help you, and you actually ended up helping me.
Yeah.
And they have a story too, right? All the volunteers have a story. So we don't know what they're walking through, and why they're there that day to volunteer. And they end up leaving with a greater joy that they didn't know they were even missing, right?
Yeah,
so it's
definitely.
kind of cool to hear both sides of it.
Yeah.
Great. And I love that your resources there, and because there's so many people don't realize how many aspects to one domestic violence case there is, with the safety plan, with the court, with the order of protection, with the serving it, with getting them a shelter, with, and then being able to say, oh, you can go get some food here. Like the last person that we helped with 6 kids, and I gave her all your centers, and then she went to Hope Women's Center, but because she didn't have any food.
Yeah.
But, so it's like one less thing, because there's just so many aspects to it that people just don't understand. So,
it's overwhelming, right? Overwhelming.
I did. I took it to her house.
Awesome.
Oh, this was so cool what the Lord did. So this one same person with 6 kids, she had 3 orders of protection against 3 different people, and she had to move to Maricopa from Tucson, and she didn't have anything. And then she said to me, all I need now is kitchen stuff. And the neighbors didn't even know that. And they came over and brought all this kitchen stuff over. And what did they say to you? They were just getting rid of their kitchen stuff. Yeah, she's
retired. She doesn't cook anymore for herself. So she had nice stuff.
And how did God knows.
Yeah.
God brought you there to that neighbor.
Yeah. They brought it over to our house, and they're like, here's a bunch of kitchen stuff. And I'm like, how did they know I need kitchen stuff? It was so weird. I'm just like, this is awesome, when you don't have to worry about things. But God takes care of everything. So your website states in Arizona, 918,940 people face hunger and 288,950 of them are children. That's 1 in 8 people and 1 in 6 children. What is Harvest Compassion Center doing to help alleviate this problem?
Yeah, I mean, such big numbers, right? I will say in 15 years.
To be continued. Stay tuned for next week's part 2. You don't want to miss it.
Thanks for tuning in to Hanging On to Hope. Check out our website, hangingontohope.org. There are resources on there, and if you would like to donate or volunteer, you can do that through our website. We are a brand new nonprofit, so we appreciate any and all support. And we thank you for listening, and until next time, keep hanging on to hope. We are evidence that there is hope and healing for you, and our passion is to help you find it too. So thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for listening, everyone.